Alrighty guys, here it is, the limited edition Furitek Titan Buggy that they've got here. It's the 18th scale and it is almost ready to run. You just have to add your battery to this thing. It has got the Komodo Unity motor ESC combo in here, 2500 kV, 30 amp. So it's running 5.5 volt or 7.4 volt BEC for your servos, and it's running at 30 amps. So it's 2 or 3S capable, you guys. This thing is completely decked out. Look at that. The steering wheel moves in here. It's got a full interior. This is a titanium hand-built chassis that they're doing for these. All right, taking a look inside here, you guys, you can see the transmission in there. They're Metal Gear SCX24 based transmission, but made by Furitek. You can see the micro Tesla dashboard, and this one they actually made a special version to fit in there super tight, so tightly in there. And then it's there, it's reading. But what they did is, it's tricky. You got to come in through this window to see, probably. Right here is the little thumb wheel for it. Maybe I'll show it from the top here. Right here. So you can click into it from the side and change the settings on it right there. So you've got your little wheel just tucked up against the side panel here. Really, really cool. Fully metal everything, it just seems like. Drive shafts, links, and these are high clearance links that they've got on here. Brass wheels, and these are rock terrain tires, and they actually look pretty good. I'll probably end up putting in a pair of my pine trees in here. They're 1.0 wheels, just because they do kind of push a little, and you're going to lose some of your steering just with that. But they don't feel too bad, the foams. They're squishy, but that squishiness just means that it's going to push a little on the sides. But man, for a stock wheel tire combo, that is pretty sick, you guys. Dual steel core servos on here. This is a 4-wheel steer buggy. You can see their radio here has 4-wheel steer on it. I like these radios. I have this with the SCX30 Nano Moto, and I like the feel of it in my hand. This is a little bit behind to get at this wheel, but you know, you just kind of offset your hand a little as you're driving and you're able to get to it, but a little bit off. And the center point is kind of at that back, goes up at like the 10 o'clock ish is 0 with the arrow, at least on mine. I was worried about these because you see the tops of these are squared off. However, they rounded them on the bottom so that they'll slide a little better. So that is a nice attention to detail, and some of the complaints that we have with some of the metal chopped ones that people are doing cutouts on. Steel drive shafts, nice oil-filled shocks on here. Brass in there as far as your hexes, front and rear. Lots of low weight on it. It's got, I can't tell if these are aluminum or brass here. These steering links. We'll have to look at the description on it. They look aluminum because of the cut on them being silver, but you've got so much brass down low, it feels pretty good. So we'll get it on the scales too and give it a look and see where the weight bias is on it. I'm running on a 2S battery. I've got a little pack in here. It's got a little Velcro strap, holds that in there. These are metal geared servos. They're actually pretty quick, and this thing is going to be way more than capable on this course, I have a feeling. But the hard part about driving in here and doing force steer is it's hard to film and do force steer. So we'll have to set the camera down at some point, so I'm not doing them like one at a time, like setting this and then setting my rear where I want it and driving a little. Which, I mean, honestly, they do that sometimes with the real ones anyway. They kind of stop and then they'll adjust their wheels and their setup. But I think that this course and terrain for this big old 18th scale, lots of clearance on it, super smooth. They do have an optional 20% overdrive you can do for the front. So one of the things I didn't mention about it is these axles are portal axles, and it looks very similar to the ones that we find on a lot of the Hobby Plus stuff, which we've seen them partner with them before. Look at the tire squish on there. So that's good. We're going to stop for a second and set our tires for the rear a little more, but see, you can see going uphill it doesn't help a whole lot. So the one thing with these axles that we found is they do feel like they push a little bit, but having force steer for them kind of makes up the difference on that. So where our steering with just the front may not be super tight, although it feels not terrible there. We do have that option then to throw that rear end and turn really tight. So I'm going to be in a whole lot of hot water here if I'm not careful, because my setup is not great at the moment. I'm waiting to just tip straight down. So we're going to just crab walk this guy up in reverse. You can see that tire folding. That's what I'm thinking, some inserts in there would be good. We're going to get a reset on this downhill approach here. So we're going to set our rear ahead of time. We're going to crab for a second because I'm one-handing, and then we'll get set for our downhill. And I'll re-straighten out the back now while I'm safe feeling. But you don't have to do it like I'm doing it right now. We'll set the camera down and we'll rerun these lines with it down. But look, you can see the tires conforming there. But see, it's going to push right here a little bit. We're turned pretty steep. That's where either having the additional overdrive to help pull from the front would help, but having the force steer is going to be our biggest help. We're going to be able to turn this thing right around and get set up for this hill climb here. But yeah, this thing's super grippy tires, really capable. The shock package feels pretty good for it. It's not too long. We see a lot of people try and go too long with theirs because they want a whole bunch of flex. But you're actually going to get better performance usually with a little less flex and a little bit more just letting your tires float if you need it to, so your truck doesn't twist, especially like on ascents and things. You don't want to get all twisty. It's got some good speed too. We'll hit the ball pit here in a second, but there's so much clearance. Like, it's not even catching the bottom on any of this stuff. It's just sliding right over it. Super grippy tires, so you can hear them. Give me a little wheel speed here. It's going to climb right over the top of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and just shift into 4 because we're going to need it. And we're probably going to need it in reverse here. And we'll see if we can't make this. I don't know if we're too wide or not, 18th scale. But this thing's just going great on all this stuff. Looks like we're going to be able to line it up and ride the little bridge here down. Oh, we slid off it in the rear, but we're good. Portal clearance for the win. Let's see if I can't, with 4-steer, spin around on this. Now see, especially with 4-steer, things tend to get really twisty, and that's where having the shorter shocks here is nice. You got to really bend this around there. There we go. It's just turning in place. We'll let the rear steer take care of it, so I don't have to undo it yet, because I kind of want to have it up here. Now we'll straighten it. Nice. We're not very straight. There it was. Listen for the ding. I want to kind of crab this. I think it'd be fun to kind of crab over this a little. There we go. But now I gotta shift and see if I can get it to spin this corner here. This would normally want to get, really twisty. Too much power out of that. I'm gonna try it again. See if I can not overreact to that back end dropping off of here. Still pushing into that front a little. It's driving through from the back, but look at it turn. You might not be able to hear the tires gripping because of the microphone I'm wearing, but they're just gripping. You can hear them grabbing onto everything here. Try and do a little line here. Now, we've been having a lot of issues with the ball pit with clearance in and out. This should not have any issues. That high clearance, yeah, in and out, no problem. This is usually a difficult climb. See if it gets traction. We'll keep it in the hard spot here. See if I can get it to bite. This thing, you guys, if you were to just add up the components on it, I mean, you're looking at like 100 and some for the motor, the Unity system that's in here. The Tesla dashboard, all of that stuff. and just keep adding up the cost. Brass wheels as an upgrade. The aluminum links that it's got on here, high clearance links. They've got a lot into the build of this, but it's a special edition and it's super rad. We're gonna get it up to reaction here. It just showed up in the mail late tonight and I had to get it on the rocks. All right, I'm gonna set this down so we can do some forward steer stuff for you guys right now. All right, we got it on a little tripod. Now I can actually operate the forward steer while I'm driving with my thumb, because I'm using my hand here. Now I can use my thumb back here to operate the forward steer like this and drive around that back end where I need it to get traction like that. Nice. All right, I'm gonna do it again where I'm not kind of blocking the view. Let's take this harder line here. We're gonna have to reset. So we're pushing a little too, just because the surface that I'm on is pretty slippery. I'm gonna try and hook the back end up over this. There we go. We have portals, so we can make that work. That's a cool line. Splitting that up on the way up. Now super tight turn to bring it back down. Utilizing a lot of rear steer. And again, it's not getting super unstable and wanting to unload when we're four steer on some of these things, where other cars that I've had that are four steer, when you're in it like that on a corner, want to unload. So just look at the suspension on here, the way that they've got it laid out. They're pretty straight up and down. They're not super long, which is really good. And they're really smooth, oil-filled shocks in here. All right, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna try and hook around this curve though and climb up this ledge like this. Again, this is where it unloads sometimes with other ones. The whole body would roll, but it is not wanting to roll. So again, this is not gonna be for everybody. This is a high-end 18th scale crawler right here. And it's for those people that are really, really into the rock buggies. But I mean, for a custom made chassis, well, you guys know what some of them will cost. If you just get the chassis alone, it's pretty expensive. And what they've done here at the price that they've brought this in at is pretty respectable, if you ask me. So I know that there's gonna be a lot of people saying 500 is too much for a 18th scale ready to run or whatever. I could buy, you know, a 10 scale for that much, and a really good one, you know. I could get a Vanquish ready to run 10 scale for that much money. But you're not getting it with all the brushless. You're getting the base model of a 10 scale for that. This is not a base model of this. This is all the upgrade parts thrown at it in one shot here, you guys. This is one you get and you don't have to do a lot to. You're probably going to want to tune it a little bit for your driving style. But there's actually, now that I'm saying that, I'm looking at the shocks. There's like 2 mounting options, it looks like, for them. But what you'd mainly be dealing with would be your wheel tire and weight bias on that kind of stuff. Now they make these axles too in different kinds of materials, and so you might want to upgrade that. But they'd be starting at a much even higher price point if this were to come in with metal axles on it, because you're already getting so much. This is insane. This crawls like nothing I have on this. Even the smaller cars, this thing is able to dance around here better than my smaller cars are, because of the 4-wheel steer. And I have had, well, the axial ones that were 4-steer, and they couldn't get around this like this is doing, because when you'd start loading onto this, the whole body and weight would shift over. So even though this belly seems high on here, it drives like it's really low. So the weight of it doesn't feel like it wants to go. The suspension and everything is set up really, really well on this, in my opinion. But again, we'll get it up at reaction where there are rocks and stuff. They have a lot more holes and gaps for tires to drop into. That could be harder for it. But again, I've driven this course hundreds of times, thousands of times, And this thing's pretty impressive on it. Now we're looking at big, big everything. But it allows it to feel small because it's 4-steer, and you can turn on a dime like that and get going down and hitting a whole bunch of lines. I am noticing weight-wise, it does push down this hill a little. It slides as it comes down, the tires and everything. Just right there, you can see it slide. But actually, it was very controlled. This one, I noticed it more. It's pretty heavy. We'll get it on a scale here, and we'll take a look at it. There's not too bad. But you can see it giving a little bit of slide, and that's normal. Right there, it slid a little. Big spin, like right there. This, if I would have hit this corner, right here, I'm gonna turn down so you see it a little better. This would push most cars over, especially if you're turned 4-steer into it like this. But this is doing pretty awesome. Look at that. We'll turn and ride this ridge. Tight turn. I want you guys to see this because it isn't unloading and rolling, even though we're 4-steering on a hill there. That's crazy. That's crazy. Little lift to the tire there, but not bad. Little lift there, but it's fighting it. All right, you guys, that's a quick look at the Furitek Titan 18 limited edition. You can also get it with purple body panels. These are the gold ones. I just wanted to get a little quick test on here, take a look width-wise. A little bit wider than a TRX-4M out of the box. Not too much. I'm going to guess that's some of your wheel hexes and stuff like that. And it's running portals, so it's a little bit harder to come over these portals here and get any of that back. But man, what a runner. You guys saw it on here. The side heeling was crazy, understeering. Just the clean lines. I didn't really show that. The welds look really good on here. The way that they tucked that dashboard in here is pretty sweet as well. Get the dashboard looking super, super fly with the different settings in there. You mount your battery right here in the back. They got this Velcro. I mean, it's just really, really slick. And I did not encounter anything that would even make it have a hard time on my course. Really, really cool. Again, the one thing we'll look at is just how that skid plate is. It is an angled skid. I want to point that out. But where everything attaches to it, it all goes straight line. So it looks like it bumps down, but everything kind of is actually riding from the links to it. So it's not really sticking down as much as it looks because of how the links attach. It rides right to it and then should slide up and off it. So we'll be testing that and just kind of watching it as we run. But man, they've done everything on this thing, and they've made it really, really, really drive well. Even I like that the steering arm, they've got it through the back here for the line on that. Again, aluminum on here. Everything is an upgrade. It's so cool. The little micro servo on that is really rad too. But anyway, guys, I'll have a link down in the description for these if you're interested in it. It is one that's going to set you back because it is all fully done, and this is titanium. But again, go and check out the comparables, and you'll see it's actually a really good price for it. Here's the other shock mounting spots. You got two on the front and the rear. So they've got them both front mounted, so you could actually angle this one back a little bit more if you wanted. But I don't know, I don't want to touch anything. The suspension felt so good on it that I think I'm just going to not touch it. I think the first thing we'll do is put some wheel inserts in there. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, have fun RCing. We'll catch you next time.